Namaste and hello and welcome to the second edition of Ek Kahani. Today is the first episode of Ek Kahani, and we are doing the Shri Ganesh with none other than a famous author and mythologist, Mr. Devdutt Pattanaik. So please welcome on our stream, Mr. Fook, our famous mythologist and author, Mr. Devdutt Pattanaik. Namaste.
Hello, hello.
So good to see you after almost about 18 months. और इन 18 महीनों में खूब सारी किताबें आ गई, बहुत सारे टी टाइम टेल्स आ गए और बहुत सारे ऑनलाइन सेशंस हो गए.
हाँ, तो इट्स बीन थोड़ा कोविड का पूरा एडजस्टमेंट करने के लिए थोड़ा टाइम लगा है. होपफुली नाउ इट्स ओवर.
Yes, absolutely. तो
I just
sure. So till while we are waiting, we'll also let the audiences join from different parts of the world. Mr. Fook, you can get our guest online. You can get the guest online. So while Mr. Devdutt Pattanaik is trying to log in, I think there are some connection issues. We'll wait for all of you to join us and share the link with the friends. And we have Mr. Pattanaik back again online. Hello. Okay, I think there are some audio issues. So audio is not clear. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes, loud and clear. All right. So बहुत ही दिलचस्प ची चीज़ होती है जहाँ से मैं आती हूँ. आई कम फ्रॉम द मालवा रीजन ऑफ इंडिया, फ्रॉम इंदौर. और मालवा के पास एक जगह है झाबुआ. झाबुआ में होली के पास एक होली के एक दो दिन आगे पीछे एक बहुत बड़ा सा मेला लगता है. तो उस मेले में जो वहाँ के जितने भी ट्राइबल लोग हैं ना, अलग अलग गांव के, वो उस मेले में आते हैं. सारे यंग लड़के लड़कियाँ, बेस्ट ऑफ ज्वेलरी, ब्यूटीफुल क्लोथ्स, दे ट्राइंग टू शो ऑफ देयर आउटफिट्स एंड देयर ज्वेलरी. और वहाँ पर आ कर के लड़का लड़की एक दूसरे को मिलते हैं. और अगर किसी लड़के को कोई लड़की पसंद आती है तो वो उसको एक पान देता है, ठीक है. और अगर लड़की वो पान ले ले तो मतलब उसका होता है कि ओके, यू लव मी, आई लव यू टू. और वो पान खा लेती है. और फिर लड़का लड़की, कैन यू इमेजिन, उस मेले से भाग जाते हैं. शाम जब होती है और दोनों परिवारों को पता चलता है कि भाई हमारी बेटी मिसिंग है, भाई हमारा बेटा मिसिंग है, उनको फिर बताया जाता है कि आपका बेटा बेटी भाग गए. एंड देन द फैमिली सिट एंड दे डिस्कस कि क्या लेन देन होगा, कितनी बकरी मिलेगी, कौन बकरी देगा, कौन गाय लेगा. और सब सारे झगड़ा जब सेटल हो जाता है तो एक फ्रेंड वो लड़का लड़की को जाकर के बोलता है कि भाई एवरीथिंग इज सॉर्टेड, आप लोग वापस आ जाइए और आप लोग की शादी पक्की. तो मैं सोचने लगी कि कितनी दिलचस्प बात है, कितनी है ना अमेजिंग बात है कि कि सो कॉल्ड पिछड़े ट्राइबल लोग, उनकी सोच कितनी आगे की है कि वो लड़का लड़की को डिसाइड करने दे रहे हैं कि जिससे शादी करनी है, एज लॉन्ग एज लड़का लड़की राजी तो क्या करेगा काजी. दिस इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट इज़ हैपनिंग देयर. बट एट द सेम टाइम अगर शहरों में कोई अगर भाग के शादी करता है तो इट बिकम्स लाइक भाग के शादी कर ली. तो और आपने हाल ही में वो किताब लिखी ऑन मैरिजेस ऑफ इंडिया. तो मैं वही सोच रही थी कि इतना बड़ा देश, जैसे हर जगह हर कुछ किलोमीटर्स में भाषा बदल जाती है, कृष्ण के रूप बदल जाते हैं, मंदिर बदल जाते हैं, उसी तरीके से हमारे पूरी कंट्री में शादियां भी अलग अलग तरीके से होती हैं. So tell us, I mean, what is this? That the tribes are actually running away and eloping and getting married, and the city dwellers, the so-called modern city dwellers, are still not very comfortable with this.
So see, the story which you told revolves around a single tribe.
जी.
तो एक ही ट्राइब के लोग हैं. तो आई नो लड़का कहाँ से है, आई नो लड़की कहाँ से है, सो इट्स अ कोरियोग्राफ्ड लव मैरिज। इट्स नॉट, वो कोरियोग्राफी के हमारी जात के अंदर ही शादी हो रही है, बट विद इन दिस वी अलाउ द लव मैरिज। तो इट्स नॉट लाइक कोई भी आके किसी, यू कैन नॉट पार्टिसिपेट इन द फेस्टिवल, यू कांट से, या योर डॉटर कैन नॉट और योर सन कैन नॉट से अच्छा हम भी पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे फेस्टिवल में। सो इट इज विद इन वो कम्युनिटी, वो एंट्री कार्ड ही वहीं पे है, क्लब मेंबरशिप की ट्राइबल। सो वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड दिस ट्राइबल कॉन्सेप्ट। ट्राइबल का कॉन्सेप्ट क्या होता है? आई एम कंट्रोलिंग द एक्सेस इनटू द ट्राइब। और वही, अब अगर ट्राइब को आप कास्ट बोल दोगे तो वो एक अलग प्रकार का ट्राइब है, विद सोशल हायरार्की, with other things coming within it, तो intercaste becomes an important issue. जैसे intertribe is an issue, intercaste becomes an issue. Also, शादी is also about property. ज़्यादातर तो property, skills. For example, अगर आप in the early days, the जो potter होता है, he needs his wife to know about the skill because they have to work together. Like जो blacksmith है, he needs his wife to know how to work with the blacksmith, the smith instruments. So he needs someone who's already trained in that.
Right.
तो वो शादी भी उसी community के अंदर होता है, because the wife knows how to do it, the husband knows what to do. All these considerations come in marriage. It is not a union of souls. It is a union of vocation. It is a social institution. So we must understand it in that context. ये जो बहुत simplistic understanding होता है, love marriage, arranged marriage. हमेशा बिजनेस फैमिलीज में अरेंज्ड मैरिजेस, अरेंज्ड मैरिजेस नहीं होते हैं. बिजनेस फैमिलीज विल नॉट लाइक लव मैरिजेस बिकॉज वो उसके साथ प्रॉपर्टी भी जाता है, जमीन, लैंडेड जेंट्री, द फ्यूडल लैंडलॉर्ड्स जो होते हैं. सो they will not like it because when the daughter gets married, the property goes with her. So these issues have to be understood कि जो child होता है is also carrier of culture,
correct,
carrier of vocation, carrier of property, carrier of name, family, किसके साथ लेन देन, जिसको राजपूतों में कॉन्सेप्ट होता था सगा है कि पराया है. So if you read the medieval ballads जैसे आल्हा उदल and those जो मालवा रीजन में is very famous, बुंदेलखंड में especially it's very famous this आल्हा. तो शादी के समय हमेशा बहुत वॉर होता है. Because the men, if a young man is very talented, it's not enough to be talented. In order to become a Rajput, he has to marry into a Rajput family. And therefore, the family will prevent him from entering. Can he prove his valor? तो युद्ध में अगर वो प्रूव करके लड़की को ले लिया, तो then he's strong enough to be a saga. तो अगले बार युद्ध होगा तो फिर उसको पूरे फैमिली उसको ज्वाइन करेगी. तो लाइक शादी के समय उसको लोग शत्रु के जैसे ट्रीट करते थे. एक बार वो सगा बन गया तो नाउ दे विल ट्रीट हिम एज अपना हो गया है, पराया नहीं है. सो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ दिस पॉलिटिकल एंगल्स टू मैरिज एंड व्हिच वी डोंट अंडरस्टैंड. ये जो इट्स नॉट जस्ट सिटी में क्या होता है, यू हैव नो कनेक्शन विद अ लार्जर फैमिली यूनिट. पीपल हु आर पार्ट ऑफ अ लार्जर फैमिली यूनिट, जहां पे दे आर पार्ट ऑफ कम्युनिटी. Then once you become, even religions you will see, if they're part of a community, if marrying outside the community becomes a problem. Because the community decides who you will marry, who is suitable, who is not. Because शादी के साथ everything changes. Food habits change, lives change. So more traditional families will not support love marriage too much. वो tribal societies will not like it beyond. वो अपना दायरा बना देते हैं कि इसके अंदर लव चलेगा. अरेंज लव मैरिजेस को बोलते हैं, अरेंज लव मैरिज.
इसके अंदर खेल लो.
इसके अंदर खेल लो, बस ये हमने दायरा बनाया है. डोंट चेंज ड्रामेटिकली एंड ड्रास्टिकली. तो ये दैट इज द पॉलिटिक्स ऑफ इट. तो ये चीजें हम एक्सेप्ट, वी डोंट रियलाइज कि शादी के समय ये सब बातें, नेगोशिएशंस हो रहे हैं. एंड इट्स ऑल सटल. इवन टुडे इफ यू सी कॉलेज में जब जा रहे हैं बच्चे, तो अप्रोक्सीमेट they are from a particular social background, they've come from a social background, वो लोग IT कंपनी में ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं. So then there is no connection to the larger community really. तो आप easily pair bonding हो सकता है वहाँ पे, और तकलीफ नहीं होती. आप अमेरिका चले गए, you met an American boy, you got married, you're living a very unique life, you have no connection with your larger family.
Right.
Independence बहुत होता है उसमें. तो individualism, independence. Rich people, वो ओपरा विंफ्रे शो में हमेशा ऐश्वर्या राय को पूछेंगे why do you live with parents, and they think it is वो एक प्रकार का एक रेसिज्म है कि there is a right way to live your life.
Yeah.
कि you have, an American way is the right way, or the European ways. There's no right way. Every society creates different ways, and if you're part of a tribal community and you want to stay in the tribal community, you'll unfortunately follow the marriage laws.
Right. Now, also, I see, different herbs, they also play a very, important part in different marriages. जैसे हमारे यहाँ हल्दी का बहुत उसको शुभ माना गया है, तो हल्दी को क्यों शुभ माना गया है? Why not तुलसी, का लेप, या why is that? And कहीं पे मेहंदी बहुत important है, कहीं पे हल्दी बहुत important है. So what is the reason behind this?
So mehendi claim with the Arabs. So it's fairly clear कि वो मेहंदी रंग, it comes from the desert regions, and then henna became very popular. Right. India में the colors were haldi and alta. So lal or yellow, red and yellow. And haldi is probably, we don't really understand. I asked a lot of even food experts, why do Indians use haldi? Haldi is the quintessential Indian color. और goddess को भी haldi mukhi कहा जाता है. So goddess is yellow face. So if you see the Durga statues and puja में जब वो करते हैं, so there is always yellow face. So haldi is somehow associated with gold, associated with sunlight. It is antiseptic, yes. वो rational reason है. There are many other antiseptic things. Neem is also antiseptic. Why don't we use it? So, and haldi doesn't have a particular taste as such. So, we don't know. I think it's the yellow color, which for some reason, sone ke saath usko golden color. And it's and it's there from the Harappan times. So, it is, turmeric, ginger, garlic. These things are very old herbs. And so, probably, shadi ke saath, this became making your skin golden, preparing you for the... So it is also an acknowledgement of the body. याद रखना चाहिए कि most cultures, very few cultures celebrate the body. तो ये शरीर को सुंदर करना, सजाना, धजाना, it's a very Indian thing. And preparing your body, making it fragrant for the wedding night is very, very important. So it is not like sex is sin, and only within the confines of this whole idea of sex is sin is not there. This is that, it is part of the Indian traditions there.
Right.
In Chinese, they celebrate the body too. So, because I think there's a...
I think the Wi-Fi is a bit slow. So, your screen has frozen, Mr. Patnaik. Now you're back. Okay. Yeah, you're back now. अच्छा, अब ये बताइए कि शादियों की प्रथा कब से शुरू हुई?
I think we should
ये तो
participants how far we are.
That's right. जी, मैं वियतनाम में हूँ, आप बॉम्बे में हैं. I'm in Vietnam right now.
Where are... So we are talking.
I lost you again. I think there is some connectivity issue. If you want to switch to any other Wi-Fi. Okay, I got you back. Please, yeah, I have you back with me. Yes.
I changed the connectivity. Let's see whether it works.
Yeah. This is so much better. And yes, I must tell the audience that I am in Vietnam. Mr. Patnaik, of course, he's in India. So, itna lag to banta hai. Okay, so coming to my question, शादियों की प्रथा कब से शुरू हुई और कहाँ से शुरू हुई?
तो महाभारत में कहानी है कि originally there was no wedding, men and women just met each other and children, and then one day there is a rishi called Shvetaketu, and he gets upset because he realizes his mother is with other men, and the father says that is perfectly fine, and he says no, that is not fine. How will I know you are my father? And therefore he institutes the laws of marriage. So there's a very clear story in the Mahabharata of Rishi Shvetaketu that it is a social institution. It was not there before in society, and later, much later, in order to establish paternity, तो शादी की शुरुआत होती है. तो पैटर्निटी क्यों चाहिए? बिकॉज देन ओनली आई विल, जो आदमी होता है वो कहता है कि मेरा प्रॉपर्टी मैं अपने बेटों को दूंगा, और अपना बेटा का मतलब क्या है? सो आई नीड टू नो हु इज माय वाइफ एंड देयरफॉर माय वाइफ्स फिडेलिटी. तो ये सब आ जाता है उसके अंदर. इट रियली इज, यू नो, इट्स वेरी ब्रूटल थिंग टू से, बट it is related to property transmission.
That's right, yeah, that's what it sounds like. और also आप महाभारत की बात करी तो महाभारत में द्रौपदी का स्वयंवर होता है, सीता का स्वयंवर होता है. तो स्वयंवर हुआ करते थे, फिर बंद कब हो गए?
देखिए, ध्यान से देखें, उसको स्वयंवर कहा जाता है, बट शी इज नॉट सिलेक्टिंग द हस्बैंड. एक कंपटीशन हो रहा है, उस कंपटीशन में जो जीतेगा वो लड़की से शादी करेगा. सो शी इज रियली अ ट्रॉफी. अगर राम ने प्रत्यंचा नहीं उठाया होता, देन शी कुडंट हैव मैरिड राम. तो ये स्वयंवर नहीं है. इट इज नॉट. सी, सती व्हेन शी मैरीज शिवजी और पार्वती व्हेन शी मैरीज शिवजी, इट इज स्वयंवर. वो अपने पति को चुनती है. व्हेन लक्ष्मी इज मैरिंग विष्णु, शी चूजेस विष्णु. But when Sita is marrying Ram, she's not choosing. It's part of a competition. When Draupadi is marrying Arjun, it is not a choice. It is a competition जो Arjun जीतता है. And then he shares with the brothers. So really इतना freedom नहीं है. The idea that there is something called freedom, Gandharva Vivaha, this is one of 8 types of weddings in India. So there are 8 types of wedding. One of them is where a woman अपने स्व इच्छा से and the guy and the girl together agree. That's one of 8 types of weddings. It's called the Gandharva wedding. So there are many other forms of wedding.
तो बाकी तो पूरा अगर हम 8 को लिस्ट करें तो क्या-क्या है?
So there is Brahma, there is Prajapati Vivah, where the guy asks the girl's father for her hand. Okay. So he is requesting her कि मुझे दीजिए. Then there is another one where the girl's father goes to the boy and says, मेरी लड़की से शादी कीजिए, मैं तुमको, you know. So then there is Rishi Vivaha, a talented boy you see, जिसको आप लड़की देते हो और उसको दहेज पे भी देते हो सामान, because उसके पास कुछ नहीं है, तो ऋषि विवाह उसको कहते हैं. Then there is देव विवाह, जब आप अपने you give your daughter as a reward for services rendered. वो आपके घर में अच्छा काम करता है, you realize he's a good fellow, you work and you don't want to let him go, तो आप बोलते हो मेरी बेटी से शादी करो. तो दक्ष प्रजापति prefers that form of wedding where आप उसके लिए कुछ काम करते हो. Imagine you working in this business, you are a good manager, बोलते हैं अरे ये तो नया जॉब करके चला जाएगा, तो उसको जमाई बना दो. You know, so असुर विवाह is where you buy a wife. पैसे देके लड़की को शादी करो. तो असुर विवाह कहते हैं. राक्षस विवाह is where you kidnap a girl, which was very popular amongst kings. And then there is Pisacha Vivaha, which is really forcing a girl, you know, basically rape. It's a marriage by rape. तो उसको प्रेग्नेंट कर दो, तो अभी चॉइस नहीं है, तो she will marry you. तो आप उसको फंसा के पिसाच विवाह, the way of the पिसाच, कि आपने उसको फंसा लिया और शादी. So there is even acknowledgement of that. So 8 types of weddings, and so in a way you can say that, you know, the Indians were aware कि शादी के अलग-अलग प्रकार हैं, whichever model you want. Ultimately, why is marriage important? Marriage is important for enabling property transmission.
तो अब आपने उसको इतना सिंप्लीफाई कर दिया, लेकिन हमारे बहुत सारे भगवान हैं जिन्होंने शादियाँ करी हैं. ज़्यादातर भगवानों की शादियाँ हुई हैं. विष्णु जी की शादी हुई है, शंकर जी की शादी हुई है. हमारे टेम्पल्स में सब जगह विवाह के कार्विंग्स होते हैं, पेंटिंग्स होते हैं. और कुछ भगवानों ने शादियाँ नहीं करी. फिर उनको, इफ़ मैरिज इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट कि दुनिया चलाने के लिए प्रोक्रिएशन ज़रूरी है, तो ब्रह्मचार्य को इतना इम्पोर्टेंस क्यों?
तो देखिए, रियली बुद्धा अपनी पत्नी को छोड़ के बुद्ध बनते हैं. सो ही रिजेक्ट्स फैमिली लाइफ और शिव जी की कहानी उसकी ऑपोजिट है. ही इज अ तपस्वी जो शादी करते हैं. सो अगर आप शिव जी की स्टोरी देखें और बुद्ध की स्टोरी देखें, दे ऑपोजिट्स ऑफ ईच अदर. Buddha is a man who was married who becomes a hermit. Shiva is a hermit who becomes a householder. तो ये टेंशन इंडिया में हमेशा रहा है कि मैरिज इज मोर पावरफुल और बीइंग सिंगल इज मोर पावरफुल, एंड दैट इज अ यूनिवर्सल फिनोमेना. एंड पीपल हु आर सिंगल यूजुअली टेक अ लॉट ऑफ पावर. बहुत पावर आता है उनको, बिकॉज दे बिकम larger than life, they become more powerful, and they think, of course there is belief they have magical powers. Even in the church, for example, the celibate man was becoming very powerful. Why does he become powerful? Because he can become part of an institution. So he moves out of a family structure to an institution. So that is why brahmacharis become very powerful, because वो मठ का heads बन सकते हैं. तो मठ का पावर आ जाता है. मठ का जितना भी anybody can, I mean, you belong to a particular community and you don't have children, so your work does not go to your own child, it goes to the institution. So one of the reasons why even the Romans valued celibacy. Chinese में यूनक कल्चर होता था. यूनक कल्चर क्यों होता था? क्योंकि तुम्हारे बच्चे नहीं होंगे तो तू जो काम करेगा वो राजा को जाएगा. So all the work that you do will go to the king. That is why the Chinese loved eunuchs. The Arabs and the Turks had this concept of mamluks. That means you are slaves. तुम मेरे गुलाम हो, and you whatever work you do will come to me. The Christians had the concept of celibate monks कि तू जो भी काम करेगा will go to the church. So it won't go to a person, it will go to the church, the institution. Same way in India, the mutts became very powerful. In India, there's a lot of mutts, all these single, so they become very, very powerful, and they become, जैसे सूफियों में सिलसिला होता है, खाने का होता है. So these become institutions by themselves, and to join the institution, you had to not be part of family life. So that was it. I mean, we can give it magical significance also. Brahmacharya magic hoga and all that. Wo, I mean, see, 21st century mein we can't talk like that, right? I mean, if you want to believe that people walk on water and they fly on air and all that, वो belief लोगों में है. विश्व मेरे गुरुजी को दिव्य ज्ञान है and all that, but that's not scientific. It doesn't. I mean, a young man or a woman thinking in terms of science will say, like, come on, you know, celibacy doesn't give you magical powers, but people believe celibacy gives you magical powers and some special wisdom. There is no scientific way of proving a person is celibate. तो इतना भी importance नहीं देना चाहिए इसको. I mean, विश्वास की बात है. I cannot prove that you are celibate. There is no way to prove it. Right. Slightly embarrassing thing, but reality वही है. There is no, आपको ऐसे blood test करके नहीं पता चलेगा ये ब्रह्मचारी है या नहीं है. So this is, I believe कि आप ब्रह्मचारी हो, but basically you don't have a family. So legally आपका property आपके शिष्यों को जाएगा. Your students and your chelas will get it. Your property will not go. So I know it sounds very materialistic, but really these things are related to these things. They really, because पहले ज़माने में, like say I am a carpenter, I teach my carpentry skills to my children. You can't just go to a house and say मेरे को carpentry सीखना है, I will join your family. No, it doesn't work like that. Either I adopt you, or so adoption is a very powerful technique. So many kings had no children, they would adopt children. So marriage is very closely related to lineage. आजकल modern society में doesn't matter. These things don't matter. We have got systems कि हम बैंक में पैसे दे देंगे, charity trust कर देंगे. So these are new ideas where we say if children don't marry, it's fine. उनको नहीं करना है तो they can live in relationship and all that. हम लोग legally, you know. So marriage is not so critical, especially in the middle class families. Maybe rich families will say, no, मेरा property, you know, if I've got my surname is important, my lineage is important. I know a lot of rich families who have a lot of property in South India. They can never marry outside the community. Never, because they'll lose everything, and these are families which have been doing business for at least 1,000 years. So they have 1,000-year history. तो वो burden के साथ जन्म लिया है उन्होंने. So the parents will say that, you know, benefit of the family name you get, so you have to pay a price.
पर अब मुझे बताइए हनुमान जी ने शादी क्यों नहीं की?
The whole idea in mythology, there's a very important idea कि योगी जो भोगी नहीं है. So he is one who will protect you but does not consume what he protects. So in a way, he's like the monk. He's a steward. This idea of a steward. I take care of it, but I will not enjoy it. ये आइडिया बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है रामायण में. सो रामायण में इट बिकम्स द पर्सन हु सर्व्स यू but does not seek anything from you. So this idea, see, every businessman would like that, right? A person who will work and not ask for salary. 100% loyal, 100% आप जो बोलेंगे काम करेंगे, लेकिन कुछ नहीं मांगेंगे. इतना परफेक्ट एम्प्लॉय होगा वो.
बिल्कुल. डेडिकेटेड.
हनुमान जी का एस्पिरेशन कि अरे ऐसे मेरी जिंदगी में होना चाहिए. बहुत ही पावरफुल, बहुत ही टैलेंटेड पर्सन जो मुझे सब कुछ देता रहेगा लेकिन मैं उसे कुछ नहीं दूंगा. द फैक्ट इज वो क्या बोल रहे हैं कि ऐसा आदमी तब आएगा जब आप राजा राम बनोगे.
सच. हाँ.
तो दैट आइडिया इज बिकॉज सी लॉयल्टी रावण का भी है ना. कुंभकर्ण इज लॉयल टू
राइट
रावण, बट हनुमान्स रिलेशनशिप विद राम इज वेरी डिफरेंट. ही इज लाइक नो, दिस रिप्रेजेंट्स द बिगर आइडिया. So Ram से बड़ा है राम का नाम is the word that they use. So it's not personal loyalty. It is loyalty to what you represent. The idea that you represent.
Right. अच्छा, द्रौपदी के 5 पति थे. तो ये माइथोलॉजी में is she the only character हमारी माइथोलॉजी में जिनके मल्टीपल की और भी हैं?
Jatila is there. Then there is Marisha who marries the Pracheta brothers. So there are multiple stories of women marrying multiple husbands. Again, this is related to the idea that, for example, in Tibetan regions, you find that even in some parts of, jahan pe, what happens is, let's say you have 10 sons and you have 1 acre of land. Now each son you will give 1/10 acre of property with each generation goes down. So what they would say is कि एक ही चूल्हा रहेगा घर में. So एक बहू आएगी. Now either you share with the brothers or the other brothers can go to prostitutes or can become a monk, but will not get married, because then that way we will not prevent the big division of the family. That was the logic. Then in Kerala side it was very different. It was matrilineal societies, so they would have sailors who would marry the women, maple they were called, son-in-laws, but they had no claims over the children. So in Mahabharata, the Chitrangada is like that, where the child belongs to the girl's family, the land belongs to the girl family. So the man only comes and at best he can live with the wife, but he's not really has any rights on her, and she can always change him. So she can change. तो अगले बार जब आता है, so the method was कि घर के बाहर वो उसकी चप्पल रख देती थी. इसका मतलब कि आप you are not welcome. Yeah, that's the only way. They would do it. They would keep the chappal outside, or they will keep a pot of oil outside. There are many symbols. नेपाल में ये सिस्टम है, था अभी तो कुछ नहीं है. केरला में ये सिस्टम था, टिबेट में ये सिस्टम था. This whole idea, again, we have to always understand कि if you correlate it with property matters, then it starts making sense.
Correct.
Sometimes sort of continues without that also. थोड़े देर समय के लिए, उसके बाद वो चला जाता है वो सिस्टम. So like for example, right now everybody is talking about monogamy. ये British construct है. अच्छा. इसके पहले नहीं था. Before 50 years, Hindu men could have many wives. There were a lot of the courtesans, जिसको अभी illegal बना दिया है. Devadasi women never got married. They would have lovers, and all the property would go to their daughters. उनका property, Devadasis के सब property हमेशा लड़की को जाएगी. और and what was property for them? They had music, dance, उनके जो गहने और वो मोबाइल, because they were not allowed to buy land, so they would have gold. They would give their golds to their daughters. They would give their musical instruments to their daughters. बस उतना ही property था और कुछ था ही नहीं. So the Tawaifs were very rich. They were very, very rich women. So they would give it to their daughters. So, and they didn't have husbands. They had lovers. So these things we don't realize कि शादी का concept ये जो आजकल का है, ये बहुत ही नया concept है. और वो भी चला गया है. Now the new younger generation is like, okay, why should we marry? Why should we have children? They're asking these very fundamental questions.
Yes.
Which people are, same sex marriage की बात हो रही है. Divorce के बारे में बात हो रही है. Why should I be in an abusive relationship? ये सब बातें हो रही हैं, which is not there. See, even when I was a child, I don't think my mother would ever talk about divorce in a positive way. Right. But my sisters, no friends, they said, it's better to be divorced. I know people who are best friends after they get divorced. They live in the same flat as friends. So ये नए systems आ रहे हैं, but mostly in urban ecosystems. Rural ecosystems में this will not be allowed.
सेम सेक्स मैरिज की बात करी, so again do we have references in mythology about same sex marriages?
Well, you have same-sex relationships, lots of same-sex relationships, but you don't talk in terms of marriage. ये सब नए-नए concepts है 21st century. So there are 20. We should be aware that these ideas in different communities the language changes. ये सब जो there is no standard way in which people live. Like
Right.
In Greek culture, in Afghan culture, in the Islamic world, man-boy love was very famous. Men falling in love with boys. So generation, older man, younger boy. So they would even talk. There are also the sacred poetries where they would talk about God as a young man, because when he was, there's this beautiful story I read once about the man. He falls in love with this young man who saw in the horizon with sheep. और वो आदमी जब बूढ़ा होता रहता है वो रोज जाता है और रोज इस सुंदर लड़के को देखता है. His hair is, they'll always describe his hat as slightly misplaced और उसके बाल curly bell निकल रहे हैं. फिर वो देखता है कि as he grows older and older the boy stays young. And then he realizes ये फरिश्ता है. Then he says, is he God? Is he a divine being? But the love, he keeps falling in love. Even when he's an old man of 80 years old, the boy remains a boy. And that's, now see, they're describing, is it spiritual? Is it sexual? Is it marriage? Is it a union?
How you interpret?
आपको कितना हैंडल कर पाओगे, कितना सच आप हैंडल कर पाओगे? Because interpretation is a truth that your ego can handle.
Right.
So ego will not allow us to handle everything. तो हम बोलेंगे नहीं ये हो नहीं सकता. मेरा
गलत बात है. हाँ, ये गलत है.
ईगो का हैंडल नहीं कर पा रहा है. ईगो जब हैंडल करता है तो वो उसको स्वीकार करने लगता है.
सारे जवाब मिलने लगते हैं.
हाँ, so ego is a thing which blocks our access to knowledge.
So now colors also play such an important part in again in different cultures when as far as marriage is concerned. अब जैसे हिंदू शादियों में आप सफ़ेद पहन के नहीं जा सकते, आप काले पहन, मतलब गेस्ट भी नहीं पहन के जा सकते. क्रिश्चियन वेडिंग में ब्राइड वाइट पहनती है. हाँ, और काला रंग अगेन in Islam black is also considered not auspicious. हरे रंग की चूड़ियाँ अच्छी मानी जाती हैं. तो ये क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है कलर्स का और शादियों के साथ, और अलग-अलग शादियों का अलग-अलग कलर्स?
I once went and somebody told me in Africa they would wear purple color to represent in times of death. So, every culture gives a different meaning to a color. So, red color is scarlet woman. So, it's a loose charactered woman in the Western. Chinese and Indian society, it is a sign of love and fertility. So, colors will always have different meanings in different cultures. You have to understand what is the meaning in that culture. It's not fixed. And of course, we get again, as I said, हम कितने superstitious हैं इसके बारे में. काला कपड़ा से रिलेशनशिप शादी खराब हो जाएगा. I mean, really, you're blaming a piece of cloth for, but then you believe in magic, right? You believe that अच्छे चीजें आएंगे. So you're nervous when a marriage is taking place, insecure. तो वो insecurity इस रूप से निकलता है कि अरे I want to keep good things around me. अभी जैसे पहले जमाने में some people will say शराब नहीं होनी चाहिए शादी में. आजकल champagne toasting होता है. So I know vegetarian families will say, no, we're very vegetarian, but वहाँ champagne होता है, and that's it's fermented fruit, no, so it is okay.
Vegetarian silk की साड़ी में होती है लेकिन दोनों.
वो अपने आप को दिल को बहलाने के लिए will create a story which will suit us. But that is great. I mean, it's good for fun and all that kind of things. But so long as we are aware that every color will have its different color.
Right.
Black has its own place. Red has its own place, green has its own place, yellow has its own place, and the meanings change depending on the geography you belong to.
अब कलर्स के साथ साथ कुछ एनिमल्स भी बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाते हैं शादियों में ना. दूल्हा घोड़ी पे बैठ के क्यों आता है?
So we really don't know the origin of this custom. It is probably because ghoda is not an Indian animal. We must first remember. Ghoda northwest India से आता है. India, the weather apparently doesn't allow the horse to be bred. It's only some areas like Marwar, Kutch. Those are the areas where horses can be bred. India was really a land of elephants. And तो घोड़े इंडिया में तो घोड़ी जब हम बोलते हैं घोड़ी शादी, it's clearly not necessarily an old Vedic custom. In Vedic custom, there is a reference to a chariot, and chariot में दूल्हा आना. So that is there in the Rig Veda also. And Rig Veda is the first time when horses are introduced to India.
Okay.
उसके पहले there are no horses as such. So शादी में this whole idea of घोड़ी is again a North Indian custom. It's not there in other parts of India. So Maharashtra में nobody comes wearing घोड़ी. Nobody in Karnataka wears a घोड़ी. Nobody in Kerala. Nobody in Tamil Nadu. Nobody. So घोड़ी, when we say, is a very North Indian Punjab side custom. It's not and the whole idea of Bharat comes from Shivji ki Bharat. The whole idea of Shivji coming on a Bharat, and he doesn't know how to come in a Bharat, so he comes on a bull and he doesn't have family, so he comes with ghosts and goblins. So Shivji ki Bharat jo hoti hai is basically a metaphor for a rowdy mob that is being untamed, जो civilization के अंदर आ रही है and is gradually being made part of civilization.
तो हमने शिव जी के बुल की बात करी, तो बात करते हैं वाहनों की. आपने रिसेंटली एक और किताब रिलीज करी है, which is
so this is the marriage book which we created, and we designed it like a wedding sari.
Oh, nice.
And this is, the boy and girl are dressed with crowns, which is this is North Indian custom, where the boy and groom on the day of the wedding are considered to be deities, Deva or Devti. So basically they are seen as deities, and in many Vedic weddings उनके पैर, वो किसी के पैर नहीं छूते, because ये एक बार ये हो गया, वो जनेऊ लगाएंगे उनको, and then they become deities for one day. They become deities, and then they have to join each other, and that is a very big ceremony which happens. So this was the book, and I've illustrated it with lots of images of gods and goddesses and all these wedding chants. Because I realized nobody understands, Indian wedding का जो diversity है पकड़ने में मुश्किल हो जाता है. So I've told it through stories, just 100 stories to show Indians the diversity of the marriage. So it's not essays, it's basically stories. I've pulled out stories from literature, from Tamil literature, folk literature, oral traditions, bardic traditions, and then of course for children. So if that is for young people, I wrote this book called Vahan for children, so that they can color and they can. So this is basically coloring book. तो आप color कर सकते हो. Because activity नहीं होगा तो वो नहीं सीखेंगे. तो animals के बारे में भी सीखना. I realized one of the things is when I studied mythology is that my understanding of botany, zoology, astronomy, physics, geography all changed. Because जब mythology पढ़ते हो तो आपको जानवरों के बारे में जानना पड़ता है, पेड़ों के बारे में समझना पड़ता है, stars के बारे में समझना पड़ता है, rivers के बारे में समझना पड़ता है. So suddenly you're forced to learn many subjects because of mythology.
Right.
So mythology is, so I thought children should get used to drawing करते करते वो घोड़े के बारे में सोचेंगे, कछुए के बारे में सोचेंगे, sheep और goat का difference क्या है समझेंगे, horse का मतलब समझेंगे, elephant. So I thought, let's do a book which engages children to draw this. So we created this Vahan book.
Beautiful. And the marriage book, is it available on Kindle as well?
Yeah. Of course, Vahan book Kindle में is useless because you have to illustrate it.
Of course.
But this book is available on Kindle, and I've written another book. Unfortunately, I don't have the copy, and that was the crisis. We realized the stories we tell, जो आप cover दिखा रहे थे, that was, my tea time tales had become very popular in the early days of
lockdown.
Lockdown के जो COVID lockdown था. So I told 72 episodes किए थे मैंने story. Just the idea of stories, just chatting with people every day at 4 o'clock, that became fairly popular. So we decided to create a book on. Some people said उसका notes चाहिए हमको. तो so my friend of mine, Pratyush Parshuraman, made copious notes and simplified it, and we turned it into a book.
Really? तो मैंने भी बड़े सारे notes बनाए. मैं भी जब आपके वीडियोस देखती थी और सोचती थी कि हाँ मुझे ये सवाल पूछना है. So I've collected a few points and questions. तो हम जब कृष्ण की बात करते हैं तो कृष्ण के इतने अलग अवतार अलग अलग जगह पूजे जाते हैं. ऐसा क्यों? उड़ीसा में जगन्नाथ पूजे जाते हैं, श्रीनाथ जी गुजरात में पूजे जाते हैं. तो ऐसा क्यों है कि एक सिंगुलर कृष्ण का एक वो अब क्यों नहीं पूजा जाता? ये अलग अलग रूप क्यों?
देखिए, इंडिया डाइवर्सिटी का लैंड है, एंड इफ यू ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड इंडिया, क्या हुआ है आजकल बिकॉज ऑफ वेरियस पॉलिटिकल रीजंस एंड बेसिकली लैक ऑफ नॉलेज, हम सब चीज को होमोजेनाइज करते हैं. एक प्रकार का चीज, जैसे there's no one type of cheese, right? When you want to eat cheese, there are different types of cheese. You want to understand wine, there is no one wine, there are different types of wine. If you are in Vietnam, वहाँ पे भी अभी pho is a very famous dish, but वो pho, if you go to the Vietnamese, they'll say no, pho बहुत अलग अलग प्रकार के pho होते हैं. There's no one pho. There are many phos. North Vietnam में कुछ अलग होगा, South में अलग होगा. So the closer you get to a topic, the more diversity you start to see. So Krishna is also, through Krishna you can understand diversity. Just through the idea of Krishna, कि there is no one Krishna out there. There is Mahabharat वाला Krishna, there is a Bhagavad वाला Krishna, फिर लोक परंपरा की Krishna. Then architecture में Krishna is very different. North India का Krishna is very different. South India का Krishna is very different. Like Radha is only found in the North Indian traditions. And Radha is not found in the South Indian traditions. It is Radha, South India is basically Gopikas, Viraha Gopikas, but there is no Radha. Radha became popular mainly because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Mithila region, the Mithila, Bengal, Odisha region. ये जो ईस्टर्न पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया जहाँ पे तांत्रिक परंपरा बहुत स्ट्रांग था, वहां पे राधा का कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत बड़ा होता है. So even when you go to Maharashtra, when you go to Vitthal temple, they'll say Rakhumai. So Rukmini, they don't talk of Radha. When you go to South India, Tamil Nadu, they never talk. They'll talk of Rukmini. So Rukmini is the more important deity. Satyabhama is very important, not Radha. Radha becomes important with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with the Vallabhacharya, and that एक नया संप्रदाय निकलता है, भक्ति संप्रदाय. So after 15th century, Radha really picks up in a big way. Although before that there is in the Geet Govind, राधा के बारे में वर्णन आता है, गीत गोविंद में songs आता है, and they really are related to tantric traditions, Charyapada and all these things. So they really have a tantric Eastern and Gangetic influence. That's it.
तो मुझे हमेशा इस पे भी हमेशा सवाल रहा है, तो जब कहते हैं तांत्रिक, ये क्या है तांत्रिक? जब एक मुझे जो समझ में आता है, it sounds like black magic, for me it's like tantra mantra, it's like, it sounds like that. But what is tantric or what is tantra?
So when the goddess is given a lot of importance, it becomes tantric.
Achha.
Material power is given a lot of importance, it is tantric. When you use the word Vedic, what you really mean is you are avoiding women and you are trying to shun the material world. So there are two extreme ways of thinking. So one is monastic. तो जो ब्रह्मचर्य की बात कर रहे थे हम लोग, वो उस तरफ जाएंगे तो वैदिक आ जाता है ज्यादा, and women play a lesser role. And so you'll see all these Vedic mutts जैसे होते हैं, रामानुजाचार्य के मठ हैं, all run by men. All men are controlling everything. Women is in a secondary role. And they will always talk of Atma, Paramatma Jada. They will not talk about, they'll have their politics and all that, but generally they will avoid that. Gherua vastra pehnenge and all that. When you go to the tantric side, the woman starts playing a very important role. Not necessarily she's powerful, but she is important. And everything becomes more about power. तो शक्ति की बात आती है और वेदों में माया की बात आएगी. So which part of, in both women are not, in one woman is shunned, in the other the woman is an instrument of power.
But she's not heading any of the two.
No. Both are patriarchal. Both are highly patriarchal.
Right.
We will say all these things, but it is better to, not hide behind sweet words.
Right.
All these Gurujis and all, when they talk, if you look very carefully, they are very clearly, we respect women. जब बोलते हैं ना, इसका मतलब है हम उसको equal नहीं समझते.
सच बात है. बिल्कुल.
You know it, right? You've seen the world. वो सब बहुत प्यार से बात करेंगे, लेकिन women will sit behind. Women will come late. We expect women to serve men. ये जो बातें होती हैं, ट्रेडिशनली इससे पता चल जाता है, वो वैदिक में भी होता है और तांत्रिक में भी होता है. But the feminine energy is definitely more big in the tantric space. Materialism is more important. Power is more important. Power is not shunned. It is accepted.
तो अच्छा, हमने अभी देखिए कृष्ण के अलग अलग मंदिरों के बारे में बात करी. तो जब हिंदुइज्म शुरू हुआ होगा तब तो मंदिर नहीं रहे होंगे, मंदिर भी बाद की ही बात होगी. सो व्हेन डिड दिस एक्चुअली स्टार्ट? और जब मंदिर नहीं थे तो फिर ये प्रैक्टिसेस कैसे की जाती थी?
So मंदिर आइडिया We know the early words are emerging about say 2000 years ago. देवालय उसको बोलते थे, जहाँ घर में देवता रहते हैं. I mean, it really comes from village rural communities. तो लोक परंपरा में लोग ग्राम देवता होता था, कुल देवता होता था, worship of land, worship of rivers, worship of mountains. We had deities which even today you will see that deities worship once a year. कि जस्ट वो चैत्र पूर्णिमा के दिन उस मंदिर में जाएंगे, उस गुफा में जाएंगे और उस गुफा के अंदर एक पत्थर होगा जिसके ऊपर बलि चढ़ाएंगे. That is the origin of really these worships. But the actual temple building really picks up 1,000 years ago. You know, we can stretch it to 1,500 years, but it's actually about 1,000 years ago. Temple building goes through the roof, and it becomes the most important practice in India. Most important practice. 1,000, 1,200 years ago is when temples become big. So all the big temples that we talk about are really 1,000 years old. 1,000, maybe 1,200 years old. Big temples, because previously they were small temples. They were much smaller, not the kind of temples we see today. So there would be these grama devatas. अभी छोटे-छोटे गांव में जैसे होगा एक मूर्ति होगी, पत्थर होगा, उसके ऊपर कुछ उन्होंने बनाया होगा, या पेड़ के नीचे कुछ पत्थर रखे होंगे, बोलेंगे ये हमारे देवता है. So they didn't have a temple. They had gods. They had devalaya. They would have these kind of and they would. When does it become important? It becomes important when land is started. People start giving land. Again, see, we coming back to property. The land, the king would give land to the god. उसको देवदान बोलते थे. I will give land to the god. तो ये जमीन जो है 10 किलोमीटर जहां तक गाय चल के जाएगा, वो पूरी जमीन will now belong to God. Now, who is going to manage on behalf of God? तो Brahmins are required. तो ब्राह्मण आ गए वहां पे. ब्राह्मण बोलते थे कि we are the caretakers of the God. Even today, God is a legal entity in the court of law. In the court of law, he is treated as an minor child. By law in India, the temple deity is treated as a minor child represented by an adult who is the temple, who is the trustee of the temple. So there's a legal I don't know the details of it, but because lot of temple property is attached to in his name. So Srinath ji ke naam pe ye zameen di gayi hai. Tirupati ji ko zameen diya. Now if Tirupati is not going to come and sign the document, right? But he has been given, let's say, shares in a company. तो हर साल पैसे आ रहे हैं, हर साल हार्वेस्ट हो रहा है, तो वो पैसे से करेंगे क्या? सो फिर धीरे धीरे मंदिर बनता है. कैसे पता चलेगा बड़ा टेम्पल है, और पैसा तो और बड़ा टेम्पल, जितना बड़ा शिखर होगा उससे पता चलता है कहां तक उसका फ्लैग चलेगा. सो किंग शोज हिज पावर. ही इज कंट्रोलिंग हिज लैंड बाय सेइंग अच्छा वहां पे एक मंदिर बना दो, यहाँ पे मंदिर बना दो, वहां पे मंदिर. तो दे विल बी कॉल्ड, राजा के नाम से इसका ईश्वर है वो. तो कृष्णेश्वर, अनंगेश्वर. तो राजा का नाम अनंग है तो मेरा ईश्वर, मेरा देवता. So he will make 20 temples around his kingdom. That is where he is able to control the land also. So gods become part of the community that way. So that's how.
पास उज्जैन है तो वहाँ सिंधियाज जब रूल करते थे तो सारे उनके जो ऑर्डर्स होते थे वो महाकाल के नाम से निकाले जाते थे. महाकाल का ऑर्डर है.
हाँ, so even today the Prime Minister of India, the President of India say in the name of the people of India, the state of India, Republic belongs to the people, but I am representing the people of India. तो अभी पीपल के जगह पे मैंने भगवान का नाम ले लिया, तो आई एम द वाइसरॉय. सो सिंधियाज वुड टॉक अबाउट महाकाल. राजस्थान में वो एकलिंग जी, मेवाड़ विल टॉक अबाउट एकलिंग जी. उड़ीसा में बोलेंगे जगन्नाथ जी के नाम पे हम कर रहे हैं. साउथ में तिरुपति का नाम होगा. तो विजयनगर एम्पायर आल्सो हैड विरूपाक्ष, तिरुपति दे. सो ये सब मंदिर बिकम रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स ऑफ द स्टेट. सो इट इज टू बी अंडरस्टूड. तो इट्स not just from a religious angle, but from religious angle is a very European thinking. ये really शक्ति के बारे में है. Politics, economics, knowledge, ये तीन चीजें जो है, communication, knowledge जो है, हमारे यहाँ बहुत important. ये religion concept जो religious meaning is only 19th century. उसका कोई.
तो ये कैसे western कैसे है? जैसे आपने बोला it's a very western concept. So how?
Most अभी की tribe के बारे में हमने शुरू की थी बात. तो ट्राइब नीड्स फूड, सो इकोनॉमिक्स आ गया. नीड्स प्रोटेक्शन, तो पॉलिटिक्स आ गया. तो ट्राइब हैज नॉलेज दैट इट ट्रांसमिट्स थ्रू रिचुअल, तो नॉलेज आ गया. दिस इज व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट इन अ कल्चर. इकोनॉमिक्स लक्ष्मी, पॉलिटिक्स दुर्गा, नॉलेज सरस्वती. दिस इज हाउ यू क्रिएट। अभी ये रिलीजन वर्ड जब बोल रहे हैं तो ये बोल रहे हैं कि ट्राइबल आइडेंटिटी, कि आर यू क्रिश्चियन, आर यू इस्लामिक, आर यू सिख, ये कौन से जात के हो तुम, विच कौम के हो तुम, सो वी आर नॉट यू। सो इट इज अ वे ऑफ टेलिंग दैट अच्छा आई फॉलो दिस रिलीजन देयरफॉर आई एम नॉट यू। उसके बाद रिलीजन के बाद स्टेट आ गया कि आई एम इंडियन, आई एम नॉट वियतनामीज। तो ये नया सिस्टम आ गया। पहले रिलीजन सिस्टम था, फिर अभी स्टेट सिस्टम आ गया। सो the Roman Empire became powerful. That's when religion becomes important. कि you have to be Christian, otherwise the king will kill you. फिर धीरे धीरे कैलिफेट आ गया। तो if you are not Muslim, then you are going to be taxed. You're going to get extra tax. तो अभी आप बदलो या तो टैक्स पे करो, decide I will not kill you but tax you. So ये एक मॉडल बन गया to control people. Then now we have got a new model called visa, passport. वही होता है कि टैक्स पे करोगे। इफ यू आर वियतनामीज you'll pay different tax, if you are an NRI you'll pay a different tax. वही है। अगर आप काफिर हो, मुसलमान हो तो टैक्स अलग होता है। वैसे ही इफ यू आर NRI, इफ यू आर इंडियन, टैक्स अलग। तो ये इंडियन सेट नहीं, देखो स्ट्रक्चर समझो। ये रिलीजन सब शब्द नहीं बात करते हैं, हर चीज बदलता रहता है। तो यू हैड आस्क्ड टेंपल्स के पहले लोग कैसे करते थे ये सब चीजें। तो टेम्पल्स के पहले we didn't need that because there was no really that period there was landed economy was not very big. Trading was important. तो उस समय बुद्धिस्ट ट्रेडिंग टाइम में बुद्धिस्ट स्तूपास were very important. जैन टेम्पल्स were very important. उसके पहले यज्ञ होते थे। So ट्राइबल सोसाइटीज में मंदिर नहीं दिखाई देंगे आपको because they have property। ये बड़े आजकल वो उनका देखिए, वो दंतेश्वरी का मंदिर छोटा मंदिर होगा, आजकल वो लोग बना रहे हैं 20th सेंचुरी में। दे आर ट्राइंग टू फॉलो द ब्राह्मण वैदिक प्रैक्टिसेस, बट वो उनका सिंपल डेटीज होते थे। वैसे ही वैदिक काल में दे वर पैस्टोरल पीपल, नोमैडिक पीपल। जहां रुक गए वहां पे वो लोग कुछ ब्रिक्स लगा देंगे और वहां पे यज्ञ कर लेंगे, भगवान को बुलाएंगे, स्वर्ग देवता को आकाश से बुला लेंगे, उनको कुछ मंत्र दे देंगे और फिर चल पड़े। सो if you see the yajna, it is the mobile portable ritual. It is not meant by, आजकल हम लोग हवन ववन करते हैं, but you can do it anywhere. You can just do it on any ground. So it was meant for people who were nomadic. Temples are the people who are settled. जो settled लोग हैं, या एक पहाड़ के ऊपर वो देवता रहता है, तो every nomadic person would come and say, अच्छा जब भी मैं इस पहाड़ के पास आऊंगा मैं वहां जाके वहां जाऊंगा। तो पहाड़ के ऊपर देवता होंगे, गुफा के अंदर देवता होंगे। बट ये जो टेम्पल्स विच आर बिल्ट ऑन फ्लैट लैंड्स, यू विल से दीज आर न्यू गॉड्स विच आर इमर्जिंग, जिसको स्थापित बोलते हैं, स्वयंभू नहीं है वो। तो दे आर एसोसिएटेड विद लैंड ग्रांट्स। So land grants become very important. So Vitthal, for example, Vithoba of Pandharpur has roots in pastoral communities. Strong pastoral links are there. So we find these origins of temples. If you understand Lakshmi, Durga, Saraswati, you will understand what's going on in the world. अच्छा, कब मंदिर चाहिए, कब मंदिर नहीं चाहिए. When the Mughals came, and that time the temples became, they didn't like idolatry. So suddenly you see निर्गुण भक्ति becomes very big, कि भगवान का कोई रूप नहीं है, निराकार. So then Sikhism emerges, कि भगवान निराकार है. How is it coming when the Islam comes? Because Islam is not comfortable with साकार, image worship. So new form of bhakti emerges, कि हम संगीत से भगवान को जन्म देंगे, मंदिर की आवश्यकता नहीं है, संगीत के माध्यम से हम मंदिर बनाएंगे. So music becomes important. So I approach God through music, not through temple. उसके पहले तांत्रिक पीरियड है जब temples are very important, and temples are establishing king's royal authority. All across India you have temples which are establishing royal authority. This starts, as I said, about 1800. So the early temples are 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. धीरे spread होने लगता है. Chalukyas, Cholas, they start building temples. उसके पहले अगर आप देखो तो फिर बुद्धिस्ट स्तूपास ज्यादा मिलते हैं. You don't find temples, you find Buddhist caves and Buddhist stupas. उसके पहले जाओगे तो कुछ नहीं मिलता है. There is
6th century BC? No.
6th century BC में nothing is there. We have only some pottery and all that. उस समय क्या करते थे पूजा का? तब भी माउंटेन होता था, तब भी रिवर होता था, सन की पूजा करते थे, रॉक की पूजा करते थे. या जैसे पॉट्स के अंदर आप फ्लावर्स रख के सत्यनारायण पूजा करते हो. That's a temporary shrine, right? You create एक घड़े के अंदर पानी डाल दिया, कुछ फूल डाल दिया, उसकी पूजा कर. So it's a यंत्र through which you create the god temporarily, उसके बाद चले गए.
Hmm.
तो ये temples को we give too much of importance. Temples, before temples there were stupas, there were chaityas. Nepal में there is chaitya bhumis, Swayambhu
Swayambhu
temple.
Mandir.
And then when you look at the temple, like Pashupati Nath was supposed to be a Buddhist shrine at one time. It was considered to be a shrine of Avati Lokeshwar, and then Shankaracharya comes and makes it Hindu. तो ये सब हम लोग देखते हैं कि अरे मूर्ति बदल गई, religion बदल गया. What does not change is economics, politics, and philosophy.
करेक्ट दैट हमने मुगलों की बात करी एंड आई वाज वाचिंग वन ऑफ योर प्रीवियस टी टाइम टेल्स. उसमें बहुत ही अच्छे से आपने इंडो इस्लामिक और आपने एक मस्जिद और मंदिर के आर्किटेक्चर पे फ़र्क बताया था. सो इफ यू कैन क्विकली एक्सप्लेन दैट, दैट वाज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग.
A masjid is very different. So whenever a king would come to India, he wants to establish his authority. वो पहले एक जामा मस्जिद बना देगा. जामा जहाँ लोग जमा होते हैं. So everybody has to come and pray, and everybody will come and pray at the same time together. साथ में बैठ के तुम पूजा या नमाज पढ़ोगे. So either on Friday is the most important day, but even every day, 5 times a day, same place, 5 times a day, every Friday, you will come and pray. Everybody will pray together. Men, we're talking about men. तो तुम मुसलमान हो, तुम भी आ जाओ. तुम मुसलमान, कौन आगे कौन पीछे कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. You'll all face in the same direction, the Qibla, and you will pray. That's it. Prayer is read in the name of the Sultan, which is very important. जिसने बनाया है मस्जिद, वो बोलेगा कि देखो मैंने बनाया है, मेरे नाम पे पढ़ोगे, which is very important. That establishes himself as the Sultan and a representative of God on earth. Very important political reason. नहीं तो इतना खर्चा करके वो जामा मस्जिद क्यों बनाएगा? He's establishing his political. हिंदू मंदिर बहुत ही अलग है. कौन बनाता है? तो वहां सैंक्टम सैंक्टोरम के अंदर ओनली ब्राह्मण कैन एंटर, जो उपास करता है. He has to do a lot of rituals. अंदर आप नहीं जा सकते because the deity is potent and powerful. मंत्र उच्चारण से उसका पावर में आता है. And you are got graded entry. कौन अंदर जा सकता है, कौन नहीं जा सकता है, कहाँ तक जा सकते हो. Some people are not allowed to enter the temple at all. तो उनके लिए भगवान साल में 1-2 बार आएंगे, यात्रा करेंगे रथ के ऊपर या बोट में जाएंगे, चंदन यात्रा करेंगे, so that you can see the deity. उत्सव मूर्ति होती है. So you see a hierarchical graded approach to the divine. So when people say everybody has to enter, no, the Hindu structure is designed around a hierarchical diverse structure. Whether you agree or disagree, I mean those are different points.
Yeah.
But the approach is different. Like जैसे मैंने कहा कि अगर आप जबुआ में जाओ और वो ट्राइबल रिचुअल में आपके बेटे और बेटी को अलाउ नहीं करेंगे एंटर करने के.
सच बात है. हाँ.
You can't say अच्छा मैं आपकी लड़की को लेके जाऊंगा जंगल में, put you in jail.
Right.
अपने कम्युनिटी के साथ उनके देवता को आप नहीं बोल सकते हो कि I also want to participate in the celebration. I also want. No, you won't will.
Correct.
You have to be part of that community to do. और हर रिचुअल जो मंदिर का होता है, they would every family would have some. कोई फूल देता है, कोई बर्तन देते हैं, कोई कपड़ा देता है, कोई मंत्र उच्चारण करता है. So that's how the village comes together to create the god. तो ग्राम देवता is created by multiple people doing multiple things. In the old days, that's how it started. And the coordinator, जो band master था, was the Brahmin. But समय के साथ the Brahmin becomes more powerful. He starts saying that अच्छा मंदिर की जमीन मेरी जमीन है, which becomes controversial. Then some king comes and says अच्छा मेरे पिताजी ने जन्म दी, it belongs to me. Then the laborer says, but yeah, I have been working on this field for so many generations. ये जमीन मेरा है. Land rights become complicated. So all that starts to happen. But that's how so it's an organic thing, unlike the masjid, which is not organic. It happens very clearly built. Jama masjid is built and the king establishes. While a temple has an organic growth, जैसे लोग आते रहते हैं, even now on the roadside when you see a temple, it emerges gradually, slowly. Depends on who is funding the temple. Like I know temple goddesses in South India, they should not have a wall outside because they are women. So देवी के मंदिर में प्रासार में कभी वॉल नहीं बनाते हैं. बट आजकल के मंदिरों में प्रॉपर्टी हो गया है, एनक्रोचमेंट नहीं अलाउ करना, तो हमने वॉल बनाना शुरू कर दिया. जगन्नाथ मंदिर के चारों तरफ वॉल नहीं होता था. जब मुसलमानों ने आक्रमण करा वहां पे, so then around 500 years ago they built these massive walls around the temple, which was not there before. So the old temples don't have walls. जैसे खजुराहो के मंदिर की चारों तरफ देयर इज नो वॉल. All now 20th century is building because property का encroachment हो जाएगा. 5 years ago they were doing it because they were protecting it from Muslim invasions. So war emerged. So tribal goddesses, it's very considered बहुत dangerous. अगर आप देवी को wall के अंदर बांधोगे तो she gets very angry and she will create trouble for you. But now you go to Andhra Pradesh and all that, you'll see all the goddess temples, Amma temples have walls around it, and that's against the principles कि देवी को कभी बांध के नहीं रखते हो. It's dangerous. So really, in the tantric tradition, the women are considered to be very free. They are their own creatures. They live in their own world. उनको पकड़ के रखना मुश्किल है. So if you see it, perhaps they refer to a tribal society where women had their own freedom.
अच्छा.
Yeah, it's fairly clear that patriarchy emerges with property rights. जैसे property, I mean that even anthropologists, sociologists, they have all commented on this. Property, the day women start getting property, roles will change. You start giving. Previously only men would get this property. Even the British made a law that only men can get property. So daughters don't get property. It's only now the laws are changing.
Right.
So the day all property goes to the women. So in most matriarchal, like just say Meghalaya, if I'm not mistaken, or Mizoram, the property goes to the youngest daughter.
Youngest daughter.
Youngest, not the eldest son. Oh. So in such society, property goes to the eldest son. They go to the youngest daughter. So see, it comes down to paisa. No, it's the reality is that.
प्रैक्टिकली बात करते हैं भाई, है ना?
अगर लड़की के हाथ में पैसा आ गया तो फिर वो तो she doesn't need the man.
जैसे आपने वो बताया ना कि it's all about कि हम क्या सीक्रेट्स या क्या लैंड देंगे. जैसे एक राजा साहब हैं तो वो हमेशा अपने खाने की रेसिपी वो सिर्फ अपनी बहुओं को सिखाते थे, अपनी बेटियों को नहीं सिखाते थे, क्योंकि
घर के अंदर रह गया.
वो सीक्रेट बाहर नहीं जाना चाहिए.
घर की चाबी बेटी को नहीं दिया जाता है, बहू को दिया जाता है.
Correct, exactly.
So how the property moves decides everything.
Right.
Which is something that so Lakshmi, Durga, Saraswati. तलवार किसको सिखाओगे, तलवार किसके साथ जाएगी. तो द्रौपदी के साथ पांडव शादी करते हैं because do they love her or is it because her father is rich and powerful? Because Hidimba is also loves Bhima, but उसको वैल्यू नहीं दिया था, उसका राज्य नहीं है उसके पास.
ओहो.
The reality is that ना, वो राक्षस कन्या है और द्रौपदी तो राजकुमारी है. राजकुमारी और राक्षस कन्या में चॉइस तो राजकुमारी की तरफ जाएगा ना. इकोनॉमिक्स आ जाता है. We love Hidimba, she is very sweet, very nice, wonderful, but आपका आर्मी नहीं है. द्रौपदी के पिताजी के पास आर्मी है. आर्मी नहीं होगा तो पांडव प्रॉपर्टी कहाँ से मिलेगा, फिर नेगोशिएट कैसे करेंगे. धंधा के लिए कैपिटल चाहिए.
और फिर आगे जाकर के मुगलों और राजपूतों में भी तो इसी वजह से शादियां हुई कि भाई प्रोटेक्शन चाहिए.
See, the Mughals were brilliant because they came from a Mongol background. The Mongols are not particularly religious.
Achha.
For them, religion is a tool, just a tool. So the Mongols, Genghis Khan was a polytheist. वो बोला कि देखो religion के इधर के लोग इधर लगाओ. He realized collaboration is the way. If I get smart people in my team and they collaborate, तो वो हमेशा smart people को लेता था अपने टीम में और उनको बहुत रिवॉर्ड देता था. बट एक काम करता था, उनको अपने फैमिली के साथ कभी नहीं रखता था. जिस तरह अगर साथ में रहेंगे तो लोग बगावत कर सकते हैं. This principle is what Akbar brings to the table. He says, देखो उसके पहले जो दिल्ली सुल्तान थे ना, they controlled only small parts of India, only Delhi. They would go and raid other parts of India, but they really couldn't control much. They only controlled the Ganga Ghati. That's it. They didn't control India. Mughals control India. Why do they control India? Because they said, we cannot control this very complicated land. We need partners. And they decided to. And very interestingly, they would marry Rajput women. But you'll never hear stories of Mughal women marrying Rajput men.
Exactly. Yeah.
You'll only hear stories of Rajput women being marrying Mughal. And the Rajputs are also very clever. I'm told that they would never give their own daughters. They would give, अपनी second wife की बेटी. Status में जो थोड़ी low होती थी, but उधर जाके वो रानी बन जाएगी. But at least connection तो होगा. So there was this negotiation happening कि कौन सी बेटी, because सब बेटी equal status की नहीं होती है. हर बेटी, concubine's daughter, second wife की पत्नी, third wife की बेटी,
Interesting.
पहली बेटी को नहीं देंगे हम, that kind of negotiations are going on. But the Mughals are fine. They said so long as we can collaborate, and then they create this wonderful ecosystem where Mughals, the Rajputs would get status कि आप हमारे साथ बैठोगे, हमारे साथ खाना खाओगे, ऊपर बैठोगे. So you get positions, and that collaboration enables them to control a larger empire.
Right.
That is collaboration helped them. Marriage saga बना दिया उन्होंने.
Correct.
It is a principle now. Whether we agree, don't agree, politicians don't care. जब तक सत्ता मिलेगा वो कुछ भी बोलेंगे, कुछ भी करेंगे. आज भी हम वही देखते हैं. It doesn't matter. राजा बनना है बस. तो मुकुट के लिए हम कुछ भी करेंगे, किसी से शादी करेंगे, किसी भी पार्टी ज्वाइन करेंगे, कोई भी आइडियोलॉजी, किसी को भी बर्बाद कर देंगे, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, लेकिन सत्ता चाहिए.
Correct.
So that is exactly what the Mughals did. The Sultanates, the Sultans were, no, we don't want to talk to Indians, we don't like Indians, we don't like non-Muslims. They had small kingdoms. Mughals said, no, we have to engage with Rajputs. If we don't engage with Rajputs,
How do we
they are
expand?
on our side. We cannot expand our base.
Yeah.
So it was a smart move. The moment Aurangzeb
Market बड़ा करना है.
market बड़ा कर दिया उसने. And then I was just hearing today that Aurangzeb was shunned by the Muslim community. By the way, the reason he was so kattar is because he killed his father. And apparently in the caliphate, when you kill the father, आपका status नीचे हो जाता है. So Aurangzeb was all his life punished by the orthodoxy of the Islamic community that you have done haram. And so to prove that I am not bad, he would go toxic ban gaya. धीरे धीरे करके he became even more religious. Last में अपने he used to make caps to show that मैं सच्चा मुसलमान हूँ, and he became more and more Hinduphobic, and which was not the way his early business. So you can see this political shifts happening, So political shifts कैसे होता है कि उसने to become king, he killed his father. Because he killed his father, the Islamic world rejects him.
And that rejection he can't take, of course.
And now that he has done it, राजा बनने के लिए उसने कर दिया, लेकिन अभी उसको status नहीं मिल रहा है. And he is becoming even more, he becomes one of those super religious, iconoclastic, starts creating trouble. Ki, look at me, मैं कितना अच्छा मुसलमान. So that's how it happens. So we see these stories. Again, it comes down to Lakshmi Durga Saraswati.
Exactly. It's
घूम फिर के शास्त्र बोलेंगे, देखो ये 3 देवियों को समझो. अगर ये 3 देवियों को समझ जाओगे, तो तुम पॉलिटिक्स समझोगे, लाइफ समझोगे, हिंदुइज्म समझोगे, सब कुछ समझोगे.
My God, Mr. Patnaik, आपके साथ तो मतलब this session can go on and on, but I have just last few questions, which are about the numbers which we have in our in Hinduism. So एक ये कि ये जो हम जब जाप करते हैं, मैं खुद रोज़ जाप करती हूँ और रोज़ सोचती हूँ कि 108 जाप क्यों? Why 108? Why 11 is so important? Why this 101, 111, this +1? Why is that so important?
So we really don't know. To be honest, there is no mathematical rational reason for it. It is, we can speculate. We can speculate on this. So normally, symmetry ke liye, you always use odd numbers. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. So that's one model. Another model is, जैसे आपने 108 कहा. So one of the thesis is that it was the alphabets. There were 54 alphabets originally. So 54, if you go in one direction, is alphabets, and then you go back to ulta, it is another 108.
Okay.
That's one more thesis. We really don't know. Like the Buddhists, the Buddhists were. I frozen. Can you hear me?
You're back. Yeah, we slipped for a second.
Yeah. So the Buddhists had a sacred number called 84,000, 84. So they would say Buddha's bones were separated into 84,000 pieces. Ashoka built 84,000 stupas. So 84 is repeatedly. आज भी many people will say 84 लाख योनियों उसके जन्म लेके human birth आता है. So I think numbers are a way of fixing infinity. And that's, you create different types of numbers, sacred numbers. So they can be 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Every number, there is some sacred significance on. और 5 बोलोगे तो पंचबुद्ध आ गए, 5 पांडव आ गए, 5 तत्व आ गए. तो 108 is a very popular number in the Jain, Buddhist and Hindu circles. Christian, 40 is a very important number. 40 days of Lent and 40 days of Exodus. 40 days of rains during Noah's Ark. ये सब हर कल्चर में नंबर वाज अ वेरी सिंपल वे ऑफ फिक्सिंग थिंग्स. तो आप भूलोगे नहीं 7 दिन करना है. 7-day week is a very mysterious phenomenon. It is not based on nature at all. Nature नहीं होता है. But the Christians and the Mesopotamians were obsessed with 7, and they created 7 as the system. 7 is a cultural concept.
7 रंग, 7 स्वर.
स्वर. So 7 is a very important cultural number because nature में नहीं मिलता है. Nature में you have fortnight, which is 15 days.
Correct.
So they would have 7 days, and they would have 1 day extra. 7 extra, 7 extra.
Last number वाला question. Last. Then I'll पक्का I will let you go. तो जब वनवास हुआ तो 14 साल का वनवास ही क्यों हुआ? ये क्यों नहीं, अगर उनको बदला लेना ही था राम से और वनवास उनको दिलाना ही था तो लाइफ लॉन्ग वनवास भी हो सकता था. वाई जस्ट 14 years ऑफ वनवास? या जब पांडवों को जब भेजा गया वनवास के लिए तो भी एक लिमिटेड नंबर के लिए भेजा गया.
See, one thing we forget that expiry date हर चीज में होता है Indian traditions में. So you are not king forever. जब आपका बेटा का जन्म होगा then you have to retire. Anything permanent is considered inauspicious. असुर बोलेंगे कि मुझे अमर होना है, तो देवता बोलेगा कि नहीं अमर नहीं मैं दे सकता हूँ. You have to give me a clause कि अगर ये होगा तो मैं मर जाऊंगा. So anybody who asks forever, I want land rights forever, is never given. Because इससे तकलीफ होती है. This was an old business principle, which was changed later. So later books will say that हमको till the sun and moon is there in the sky, this land belongs to me. But पहले जमाने में ऐसे कभी नहीं होता था. They would always give an expiry date. 14 साल का वनवास. तो even दशरथ जब शादी होगी तो बच्चे आएंगे, जब बच्चा का बच्चा होगा you have to retire. So very clearly you have to retire from the business when a grandchild is born. The moment the grandchild is born, you have to retire. That's the rule of the game. Because अभी बेटा has a child of his own, तो वो राजा बनेगा और आप retire बनोगे. So that, if you look carefully, is in those days would have been a 14-year cycle or a 16-year cycle. एक generation is about 20 years, ना? एक generation. अगर technically, if you say that no, people can get married at the age of 13, at the age of 14, a new generation will start. So it is a 14-year period. I'm rationalizing it. I don't exactly know. But what I do know is nothing is permanent in Indian thought. So even Vanvas is not permanent. Death is not permanent. Marriage is not permanent. Because एक बार संन्यास ले लोगे तो आप पत्नी को छोड़ दोगे. Nothing is permanent. All relationships are to be terminated. Everything has to be terminated voluntarily, or nature will terminate it for you. That is the idea कि nature will terminate anyway. तुम्हें मार डालेगी ना एक दिन, तो तुम permanently कुछ नहीं कर सकते हो, तो तुम अपने हाथ से छोड़ दो ना, पहले ही छोड़ दो. Nobody wants to leave the गद्दी. असुरों के जैसे नहीं छोड़ सकते अपनी गद्दी. तो असुर, ये असुर प्रकृति है. To not let go.
So I will not be an asur. I'm going to I will be a good soul, and I'm going to terminate the session. I will not let this go on and on. I will put an expiry to this, and I'm so thankful to you once again. And how just one person can give us so much knowledge. That henna amazing actually is for you. Henna amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.